Now the new Insta360 Sphere mount kit was just released last week, and there's definitely been a lot of interest on this camera because the comment section on that video, lots of questions have been coming through. So I pulled the most common comments that were written on that video, and that's what we'll go through today. We'll answer some of those questions. And I let Insta360 know I was gonna do this kind of question and answer video, and they were like, hey, we're actually having a sale on our camera systems right now. They're having this big like summer sale. Would you mind mentioning in that video that we're having a summer sale? I said, not a problem. I was gonna do the video anyways. But on top of that, they said they're gonna sponsor some extra giveaways for people that were purchasing some of these items that are on that summer sale list. I'll leave the links, of course, to all the products down below in the video description. Make sure you guys use those links. That way you're able to get the extra accessories on top of the sale. So now let's jump right into those questions that you guys had on my video. First question we have is from Chris Hodge, and the question is, are the cameras fixed to the unit? Insta360 camera products are normally or usually interchangeable. As you can see on the actual Insta360 Sphere, it is built in. You're not able to take off this camera setup here like they did initially on the very first Insta360 drone mount. This one right here on the Sphere, it is all one piece, so it is all built in. Next question we have is from Euro Park, and is there a risk that the lower lens facing the ground might get scratched, or does the Insta360 have a landing pad to prevent that? Well, like I mentioned in the video, yes, they are including this takeoff and landing pad, which is pretty soft. So when you are out there flying, they highly recommend using this type of pad so that you just have to place it down. And when you remove this, of course, make sure the pad is nice and clean. And yes, the lens will be touching the pad. So like I said, make sure the lens is clean as well as the pad is clean, and you're able to place that down just like that. And when you take off, it'll still take off and be nice and balanced. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can also try hand launching, hand catching a drone. But like I talked about in my video, just be very, very careful of that. Make sure you know and understand your drone before you hand catch and hand launch. Next question is from Charlie White. Nice video. When you crop in, are you still getting 1080p like you are with the Insta360 cameras, so you don't actually get 4K or 5.7? That is correct. On the 360, it is 5.7, but it's 5.7 when you're shooting in 360. When you bring the footage into Insta360 app and you do your reframing and you re-export back out, it will be re-exported back out at 1080p. Next question comes from Kuvaris. Will the mount be available for the Mavic 2 Zoom? And actually just goes along with some of the other ones. A lot of questions are, is the mount going to be coming out for the Mini 3, the Mini 2? From what I know and from Insta360 have told me, as of right now, they only have the mount for this drone. I'm assuming, of course, that the weight of this would really bring down something like the Mini 2 or the Mini 3. It is, unfortunately, only for the Air 2 and the Air 2S. Next question comes from BMAC Aerial Visuals, and his last line here says, it's good to have in the toolbox when you need it. And that's exactly what it is. It's not meant to, in my opinion, it's not meant to be a camera that you're gonna be using a lot of footage from or all your footage from. When I took this out to fly, I would actually fly, and you're still using the DJI Fly app to get footage directly from here, knowing that it's recording in 360. But it's nice to know that you're recording here so that if you wanted to pull any footage from it, change up the perspective, change up the angle, you know it's always recording in 360, and you're able to take those little pieces from that footage and then use it into your bigger story. So to go along with Aerial Visuals question, definitely is a nice additional tool to have in your toolbox. Next question is from Johnny Blaze. This looks awesome, but editing the footage seems like a daunting task. And that was the one biggest thing, even when I got into 360 in general a while back, that one thing was like, man, the editing portion of it is kind of what bothers me. And that's the one thing that Insta360 does have really well. They've done really well in their Studio app. If you are familiar with the X2 or any of the 360 cameras from Insta360, I think you guys will agree that Insta360 app, the Studio app, is really straightforward. All you do is bring in your footage and you can actually see what the camera sees, start moving all that footage around, and you're just gonna go through your timeline and just use basic keyframes and move it all the way along. You could change the easing of the video coming in and out. So it is an extra step, but luckily enough, Insta360 Studio app is pretty intuitive, really easy to use. Next question is from Cam Pilot, and they're asking, what about the flight time with the Sphere and the Air 2S? Now, Insta360 is saying it'll reduce your flight time about 20%, but just like any flight time on any drone, it depends what mode you're in, how you're flying, the weather conditions. So they're saying about 20%, but just know that you have to just gauge it on your specific location, your specific situation. Always monitor your battery levels when you're out there flying. Next question is from, I cannot translate the name. So, great review, thank you. Has a jitter problem been improved? Yes, one of the things that was they had an issue with the first mount was we had a lot of jello. The mount on here was solid, right? It's just a 3D printed piece. What's nice here is that we do have extra rubber pads on the mount to help reduce the vibration of the drone. And not even just that, I think the camera and the software too have done a really good job of keeping that image stabilization really good with flow state. Next question comes from Jitter. Love 360 shooting. I printed a 3D extension leg for takeoff, and he's probably talking about this right here, how it is a little bit off balance if you are gonna be taking off. I thought about that too. What if I put an extension leg on this back one right here? And more than likely, it probably could work because we have this leg that's in this shot right there, and it actually still doesn't get in the camera or in the shot. So it probably could work if you put a little, you know, one leg extension here. But honestly, once you get this thing off the ground and take off, you're good to go. It doesn't have any issues with the balance once you're in the air. Next question we have is from DM Davis. What do you think about the stitch line? Another reviewer said it's about 10 meters. Yeah, so Insta360 is saying that you'll need to be, or to have less of a stitch line, you'll need to be about 10 meters away from your subject. Now normally when I am flying, the objects in front of me are pretty far away, and whenever I get close to an object, it's normally to the sides. Most of the time the stitch line won't be too visible, and if you guys aren't familiar with the stitch line, basically there's a line here where the camera needs to try to figure out the stitch in between the two lenses. And if you're too close to the camera, you'll see the stitch line kind of looks funky. It looks like the video is kind of overlapping and it's cutting off. That's the reason why the stitch line is really good on these types of cameras, because the cameras are so close together that you can be very close, just like this, and you won't really see the stitch line so much, where here, the cameras are separated a lot more, which means your subject needs to be a lot further away. And there it is, guys. Just wanted to answer some of the questions you guys put on my last video on the Insta360 Sphere. Hopefully I was able to address most of those. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Insta360 is having a big summer sale all the way up until June 4th. And not just that, they're actually giving my viewers few extra discounts. So if you guys use my links down below, they're gonna throw in a few different accessories depending on which camera you get. If you guys wanna see my full video on the Insta360 Sphere, make sure you guys check the link above as well as down below in the video description. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. This is Ultra Anastacio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.